So once again, the DeGods NFT projects are at the top of the news feed. Their founder, Frank, is all over the place. Everyone's speaking about it, giving their commentary. If you have not noticed, two big things that happened today, the announcement came out. Number one, DeGods Season 3 with their new art and everything is happening. And number two, the Utes are transferring over from Polygon and going directly on Ethereum mainnet. So we're going to dive into that today, make some sense out of this nonsense, and we're going to cover all sorts of different things that are happening here because a lot is associated with this. Hello, I'm Taj, digitally known as Tropic Vibes, the host of Nifty Business, where we highlight NFTs and explore Web 3.0 as we move from pure speculation to creating real-world value. So before I start to make sense out of all of this nonsense, I just want to thank all the recent subscribers to the newsletter, niftybusinessweek.com, who have signed up for that. And I will tell you that has been doing good. I have been getting some feedback. I appreciate those of you that have reached out to me. And if you haven't signed up for that, please sign up for that at niftybusinessweek.com. Absolutely free. But let's get to the story right now with all this craziness that's happening within the DeGods ecosystem. So in case you're under a rock or something, not really familiar with what's going on, DeGods is pretty much the biggest mover of the needle outside of the Yuga ecosystem. Of course, we have the Bored Apes Yacht Club, the Mutant Apes Yacht Club, MeBits, CryptoPunks, other side are all associated with Yuga Labs and what they're doing over there. But within the DeGods ecosystem, which originally launched on Solana as the DeGods NFT project and also the Utes, their second edition, they were originally on Solana and they decided to jump ship. Well, everyone was under the impression that after FTX crashed, that Solana was going to crash. Of course, their price was falling because anyone that really follows the whole space, understanding that Sam Bankman-Fried and everything that they had set up really propped up the Solana ecosystem and helped to drive the price up to $200 and some odd, which is pretty funny because when I got into the Solana ecosystem, it was pretty much right at the peak of everything. So yeah, it's a terrible time to get in. But from then, it's been a downward spiral. And then after FTX, everything imploded there. It just crashed. And shortly after that, it was announced that D-Labs, headed up by Frank DeGods, was going to, or that's not even his real name. That's what we know him as in the NFT circles. He doxed himself since that, but we still call him Frank DeGods. But anyways, they announced that they were going to bring over the main collection, DeGods, the OG collection, over to the Ethereum mainnet, and then they were going to send over the Utes to Polygon. Now, at the time, Polygon paid them $3 million to come over. And of course, this was a big news cycle. Everyone was speaking about this, and this really put Polygon in the conversation of a lot of people, and it supposedly brought legitimacy to the chain because, of course, Solana losing their biggest collection was a huge dent to them. It was a massive loss. However, of course, we know that the Solana ecosystem has gone on and so forth. However, gaining that on Polygon, it was just the logical thing because it was a lot of people were saying, well, we need a fast chain that can do the volume that Solana can at an affordable price. And well, why not Polygon? After all, DeGods has put their secondary mint, the Utes, on there. So let's check that out. So that was sort of the news story of the day. And well, today we received notice that they were getting ready to pull them off and they're going to put them on Ethereum and they're going to then return that $3 million over to Polygon. Now, there's a lot associated with this, right? First and foremost, I must say that Frank's explanation of wanting to unite the community and so forth, I am a fan of what they're doing in this ecosystem as far as just the excitement that they bring to the space. However, I do not buy this explanation. I don't think it is logical, makes any kind of sense whatsoever, because if the community is the people, right? The community consists of people all around the world. I don't understand why having one collection on Polygon and one collection on Ethereum makes it any better or detrimental to the connection of the community itself. So it's a terrible argument, in my opinion. I just don't see it. And if it's something that you're token gating things, you can easily token gate things with Polygon and Ethereum NFTs at the same time, so you can get into the same discords and everything. After all, these are EVM, Ethereum virtual machine smart chains. The code is the same and so forth. And really, there is no reason why you couldn't have that same access. Now, the thing with, again, it just really makes no sense to me whatsoever. I just just do not understand the rationale, the logic behind that statement saying that we want the community to be together, because it's not like I've ever been in a situation where someone says, you know what, we can't hang out because your NFTs are on Polygon and mine are on Ethereum. Not to mention that they're the same ecosystem, the same company, so they're the ones who are controlling the token gating. So again, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever for me. Now, once this goes out, the excitement for this, for whatever reason, the price of it decides to pump. Everyone's excited that they're going over to Ethereum, which I think is a terrible idea in the sense that them not delivering anything different, not doing anything other than moving chains is no reason for me to say I'm more bullish on this project than I was before knowing that they were on Polygon. It just really makes no sense to me whatsoever, because God forbid, even if Polygon goes under, right? The chain crashes and burns and no one uses Polygon anyways. Well, you can always still port that over to Ethereum at a later date. So it's not like there was any sort of risk if you were so against Polygon as an ecosystem, thinking that it wasn't going to last. Just like the people that were fearful of the Solana ecosystem, I just don't understand why this is so much excitement. It kind of reminds me of when a stock does a split in, of course, the traditional finance markets, where you have a stock that's very expensive, let's say $1,000 per share, and they decide to do a 4-for-1 split. And normally you would think that, okay, 1,000 divided by 4, that's going to equal $250 per share. If there were 1 million shares out before, there are now 4 million shares, and everything should be in balance. But for whatever reason, people are irrational. The markets do not always make sensible moves. And what usually happens when there is a stock split, even though nothing has changed other than the number of shares on paper, the price tends to go up quite a bit. Why that happens, who really knows? It's just the psychology and the mentality of the investor, the person that's buying. And the same thing is happening right here. The fundamental underlying principles of why people would value the Utes has not changed whatsoever. They have the same leader. It is the same company. They have the same mission. They're doing the same exact thing. Even the coding and the contract, everything is technically all of the same. All they're doing is porting it over to a different chain. So it's not like the technology is improving. I can go on and on and on and on. Nothing has really changed. So the excitement for that, I just don't know. It's just illogical to me, but it just further proves the point that the market isn't always logical and rational. It is very emotional. And just the fact that people are so excited about this. And if I look on the Twitter feed, I'm seeing all sorts of things. People are saying this is going to be a massive blow to Polygon ecosystem. Polygon is not going to survive this. And well, first of all, like, pump the brakes. All right. Let's just see what we're speaking about here. When people are saying Polygon is not going to survive this, remember they said that Solana was not going to survive both these collections leaving and quite a few others. Last time I checked, Solana is doing fine. The price isn't through the roof, However, builders are more excited than ever. They're still doing great things. Candy Machine is still rolling out their updates. Magic Eden, Phantom Wallet, and the DeFi ecosystem that they have going over there. The Solana phone. There's so many things that are happening over on Solana. The chain isn't dead. Now, over here on Polygon, you have excitement, as I've said in countless episodes before this. Just search Polygon if you're on whatever podcast app that you're on, and you'll see I did multiple episodes recently about the Polygon community. So much excitement. They're building, they're doing different things, not talking about floor prices and so forth. So why would I believe that Frank DeGods and this collection moving over to Ethereum mainnet is going to kill what's going on Polygon? There's no rational reason why anyone would do that. And the people that are writing this are the Ethereum maxis. They never had faith in Polygon or any other chain whatsoever to begin with. They were all about Ethereum. So of course they're excited about that. Come over to Ethereum. But here's the thing, right? You have so many companies that are much bigger. They move the needle much more than anything that happens in this DeGods ecosystem. You have Reddit, you have Disney, you have Starbucks, and the list goes on and on and on and on that are working within the Polygon ecosystem. So do I think that Frank DeGods and this collection, however exciting and amazing it may be within the NFT community, do I think they're going to move the needle so much that Polygon's going to be affected? Absolutely not. An irrational analysis, and I just don't think there's any kind of sense behind that. But whatever, everyone's entitled to their opinion. They can tweet or post or whatever it is about whatever they want to these days, and they could say whatever they want, but I just don't see it. I just don't understand how that logic comes up. Now, the interesting thing is that $3 million that they were originally given for putting Utes over on Polygon, well, what's going to happen to that? Well, Frank tweeted out and he commented and said that they're going to give that back. Well, it's kind of interesting to me because when you really look at it and you think, okay, well, when that happened, the uncertainty, what's happening over there, trading volume was down, the floor price was falling as far as the value in dollars because Solana was spiraling out of control. Well, it was safe to say that they probably needed some sort of cash injection to prop up the business, right? So they took that $3 million, which in the grand scheme of things really isn't a lot compared to running a massive enterprise. Of course, we mentioned the Disneys, the Starbucks, and so forth. $3 million does not even get their CEOs out of bed. However, these NFT projects, these communities, still so small in their infancy, $3 million is a big deal for an NFT project. And in this case, well, they took that little cash injection into the business. How are they making their revenue other than these trades that are happening? Well, who knows? Because for the most part, we see that the royalty fees and all that stuff has been slashed. Blur has really taken over. And, you know, that has really impacted the ecosystem on Ethereum way more than it would have if they were still on Solana. But that is another topic in itself. Moving to Ethereum definitely pumped the price and they were able to get so much more excitement and so forth. So I'm not going to knock the move initially. But as far as their business model, when I look at countless other projects, like, okay, we know Yuga Labs, they're trying to build games and so forth. Whether or not you agree with what they're doing, that's another story in itself. You have Doodles and you have Pudgy Penguins working on IP and actually trying to build out their business. You have VFriends working on collectibles, storytelling, and all these different things. But when I look at DeGods, I'm like, what exactly is going on here? What are they doing other than the community itself? And I already addressed that, the fact that I just don't understand what the chain has to do with anything if the community is the people. Well, regardless of what chain the NFT is on, you can get those people together. But again, not going to revisit that topic. So here we have this thing. This is entirely driven by their community, their people, their gatherings. They're having parties. Everyone loves their events and so forth. But what are they doing to really drive revenue and income and such? I really don't know. They have this whole point system that's coming up, which they also announced, but didn't really release the details for that. I don't know what they're going to be doing with that, some sort of marketplace or some other revenue stream that they're going to do. But generally speaking, I mean, I just don't really see the business model as to what they're doing here. The IP isn't as tradable and you can't necessarily build on it as much as, say, a Pudgy Penguins or a VFriends. So I don't know. But to each their own. You know, one of the big things that they had was the art announcement, right? So the art was upgraded. This is season 3 and what have you. And in my opinion, I mean, to each their own. Art is in the eye of the beholder. Some person might find something extremely beautiful. Another person might find it extremely hideous, right? Well, DeGods, the art wasn't my style to begin with. I just never really cared for it. I have nothing against anything they're doing as a community, what they're doing as a founder, the vision, like the party, all that stuff. Okay, cool. Awesome. But for me personally, when I look at the art, I just never liked it. I like the Utes art infinitely better than the DeGods ones, right? I think Utes is something that I would actually rock. I like how they look and so forth. But like the DeGods and this upgrade that they're doing right now, with this new art in the previews that I've seen, I was not impressed. It is much more refined, more polished and clean. And then they have the female ones. Okay, cool. But in my opinion, it really lacks any kind of personality. And I think that it is better to have that polarizing thing that I did not like, that edgy, grungy look, if you will, and just not my cup of tea. But the people that were in that ecosystem, I mean, they loved it. Obviously, they were riding very hard for this community, doing some great things. So regardless of what I think, that is cool. These people loved it and they were there. I'll say, great. But now I feel like they have kind of stepped into the middle. When I look at the art, it's just like, it doesn't really move me any way. I think it's a lot cleaner. It looks better on a PFP as far as being able to see the details on a small screen and so forth. But when I actually look on it, I just don't see the personality. It seems very vanilla to me. Whereas before it was like a rocky road with bananas. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's a weird kind of concoction. But you know what I mean? Actually, I don't even know if Rocky Road has bananas, but I know I don't eat Rocky Road. But you know what I mean? That sort sort of thing, those bold flavors, unique type of people. I feel like that's how the art was before. It's either you loved it or you hated it. And the people that loved it absolutely loved it, right? So now it's like so safe, so boring, so middle, and just vanilla ice cream. Like no one really gets excited about vanilla ice cream. Very few people hate it. It's a safe choice. You could put it in your shakes. You could just put it in whatever kind of sundae. You could doctor it up however you want. So I understand that this is a lot more tradable. You could use it in different things and a little bit more appealing to the masses, but who gets excited about that? You know, that's why I am not really encouraged by this upgrade, although I like it better. But again, I am not in their direct ecosystem. I'm not the target person that they're going to, so I would love to hear what's going on there. But as far as what I'm seeing from the community, people's feedback, they are flooding this project big time. Now, a few things to know with the art upgrade. First and foremost, that it is a paid upgrade. You have to pay to upgrade it, but that is another thing in itself. And because of that, the community is really upset with that. And, well, rightfully so. Nobody wants to pay extra to then, in my opinion, have their art sort of downgraded. Even if you do like the new direction that it is going and so forth, do you really want to pay for that? I don't know about all that. But anyways, I think it is pretty interesting to see that when I look at the price of the DeGods, I'm looking at Franklin right now saying that he lost a whole bunch of money. He bought them a few days ago and he's unloading them because the community is upset and what have you. And before he gets any kind of more losses or whatever, he's just trying to just get them out of his wallet. So interesting to see there. Overall, do I think that this is going to crash the project? The floor price is going to go? I don't know. Like I said, the Utes are pumping, but then, you know, what's happening over on the main collection, maybe it's just a correction to where it was, because usually when these announcements are made, so he did this, said a few days ago that he was going to have these different upgrades and so forth. Well, price starts to go up at that point. So maybe once the price starts to fall, it's just correcting back to, okay, yeah, this is not what we thought it was going to be. And it's just why I just don't find the point in trading on hype. Of course, you know, everyone says when it comes to whether it's stock market or Forex trading or whatever, buy on the speculation and then you sell on the news. Well, the news here is not good news. And, you know, overall, you know, most people seem to have followed that. And another reason why I wouldn't consider myself a degen, it's just not how I look at things. It's not how I operate, but it is what it is. That's what's going on here, but we'll see how this goes. So just a little bit more clarity. Some crazy things are happening within the whole DeGods community and everything that's going on. It is absolutely crazy. The floor price for the main collection has fallen from about 10, the high 9s, all the way down to 6. So the community is having a knee-jerk reaction to this, and this story is developing so fast that it's just absolutely ridiculous. So probably by the time this comes out and you listen to this, and maybe we're into the following day, 24 hours after all this stuff breaks, we know that this space travels really quickly. And when things like this happens with a community like DeGods, anything can happen. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, and hopefully things stabilize and is absolutely not crazy. But generally speaking, the overall discussion, everything I spoke about with this is not time sensitive or anything of that nature, but I just want to put that little note in there to let you know that this story is developing really fast. It is like a bull market story the way this thing is moving. And of course, there's two parts to the story. There is the Utes collection. So the Utes were originally trading around 1.5, 1.7, but once this news broke, everything that was happening, that was going over to Ethereum and so forth, it shot all the way up to about 2.1. Looked like it was going to go up. But then, of course, as the day went on and everything started to progress, it too tanked all the way down to about 1.3 and is starting to stabilize around 1.6 ETH. So some crazy things are happening here. But again, like I said, majority of the conversation, things that I spoke about, is not time sensitive, has nothing to do necessarily with the price movements and the community reaction, but just what's going on overall in there. And it's just really an interesting thing. And I'm sure I'm going to have a follow-up probably in the newsletter discussing this a little bit more. But so if you're not signed up for that, niftybusinessweek.com, absolutely free, but very interesting things are happening here. Probably the most interesting aspect of this rollout. Of course, Frank has apologized, saying that this is not going as the plan and so forth and whatnot. But pretty much every time they do a rollout, that's what it comes down to. Oh, Frank comes out, he apologizes, and the community kind of forgets about it. They brush things under the rug, and they come out. It's kind of like a cult in the sense that they have this cult following. They're absolutely ride or die with Frank and the community and the project and everything. These are the type of people that will show up for parties, conventions, and there is a real potential here to build something great. However, I just really haven't seen anything that really requires them to be on Ethereum, really is leveraging this tech other than just a cool meetup, social club, or whatever it might be. But again, I'm not in the meetings. They are obviously running things a lot better than I possibly could know, playing things close to the chest. They have a team, they have people. Seems like they're getting some venture backing and what have you, outside funds coming in. So obviously someone is seeing value in what they're doing. This guy is extremely young. So for him to attract that kind of backing and that kind of attention within the space, I am very impressed by. So regardless of my opinion of the art, what's going on here, the missteps and all the criticism that's going his way, I think it is pretty cool. I'm just excited for what's going on. The excitement that's on Twitter, both the negative side and the positive side, I think is a great thing. I have no idea why Ethereum maxis are so anti-Polygon. If you are a football fan right now, it would be like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs looking at the Cleveland Browns and talking about them. It's just like illogical. They're miles ahead of them. They have nothing in common. Why are they going out of their way to go make fun of the Browns? And that's how I feel like what the Ethereum community does with Polygon. It's, in a weird way, kind of a good analogy in the sense that, okay, they're in the same league, meaning the Ethereum virtual machine ecosystem. However, in a sense, like they're doing things completely different, but it's just really weird to me that they go out of their way to just constantly FUD Polygon, and I don't get it. So if you have any insights as to why that might be, you can make some sense out of that, please feel free to let me know. But most importantly, I just want to thank you for taking time to listen to this as we're learning and building Web3 together. So until next time, later. The Nifty Business Arrow is not investment advice. It provides insights and information within the space. As with anything, please do your own research before making a decision whether you're making an investment or a purchase.